Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I cannot believe that I am even saying that. I have been wanting to start YouTube for so long, and anyone that knows me knows that this is like exactly what I want to be doing. And I think that it's just so good for me because you guys can see more of like my personality through YouTube, and I just think it's going to be a super fun journey to kind of do different videos and kind of get to know me more. But the first video that I actually wanted to film for you guys, which I do get a lot of questions about, is how I got into social media. I feel like I get this question more often than not. I do actually have an ebook that I created that I sell on my profile for $10. It is a 12-page ebook, and it kind of gives you a full rundown of what I use, how I edit, just some like tips and tricks for anybody wanting to get into Instagram. It's definitely not for just beginners, it's literally for anybody. So I hope that you will go and check it out. I have put my heart and soul into it, and I think that it is so useful. But I thought I would just kind of go more into depth about my story and kind of how I got into this and managing social media and all of that. So if you are interested in hearing about that, just keep watching. Okay, so I wanted to start out where I first kind of started. Very beginning. I was working at a retail store called American Threads, and they are a pretty big company and they've expanded throughout the South. They are based out in California, their headquarters is. So I started working there as a sales associate and then kind of worked my way up into a key holder position, and I was doing a lot of different things there. And I was definitely not into Instagram. My Instagram looked horrible. To me it did, from what I do now, but it was kind of just, I was posting just to be creative. Like, that's just how I've always been. I've been very creative as a person. So I started to post more on my Instagram, just pictures that I liked. And at the time we had different accounts for every store location. So I was based in Atlanta, so we had an Atlanta store account. And the girl that was running it was leaving, so they needed a position to fill for that, and the owner kind of just chose me and said, let's take a chance on her. And it's crazy to think that that one decision changed everything for me, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for American Threads, period. I've always been super grateful for everything they've taught me. I've worked under the most amazing people there. And that's kind of how I got started in this industry. So after I got the account, I was running Atlanta. I was creating content out of our Atlanta store in Avalon, which is a shopping center where I live. And so we had a few stores in Atlanta, and then we would just combine content into one Instagram to cover all the Atlanta stores. So every store had their own Instagram. And then there was the big Threads Instagram. That's the main one. And so I was running that. And then the position opened up for me to be able to oversee all the content that was coming in for every store. So I would have people that were running Instagram send me the content to say yes or no, like this is on brand, this isn't on brand, and then they would post it. I helped with feed planning, grid planning for all the stores. I would even run certain accounts at a time, so I would be running Atlanta, I'd be running Texas at a time. Like, it got a lot, but it was actually very informative for me because then I was able to learn how to like micromanage a lot of different accounts. So that was like a really big blessing in disguise. So I actually got that position, and I actually was only in that position for a few months until they decided, okay, let's just combine all stores into one account, which was Thread Stores. And Corinne, you would run it, and we'd have someone helping with stories, and that's kind of how it was for the next like year or so. And I had a blast doing it. I learned so much under everyone that I worked for. I learned about marketing strategies. I learned about different Instagram insights. I just learned more about Instagram in general, and that was so good for me because this is where I've gotten to where I am now. And I think that you definitely have an eye for it. a lot of people would love to do Instagram as a job, and honestly, I'm so grateful that I can. But I will tell you, it's not as easy as everyone thinks, and it's definitely very time consuming. It's also a very creative process that needs to be completely thought out. You need to be able to learn how to put colors together, put themes together, and to also make sure that everything is on brand with the company that you're working for. So that was definitely a learning process for me, but I think it helped me to advance into my career as I am now. And so from that, I had graduated college and I was actually looking for a full-time job in social media marketing. And to be honest, with COVID and everything, it just didn't happen, and I was getting frustrated. I was getting really depressed because I was like, I don't know why I'm not getting any of these jobs. But it honestly was the biggest blessing in disguise, because if I had taken any of those jobs, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today. So I started to become really serious about Instagram. I started posting more. I started making my feed the way it was, and I think it just kind of hit it off from there. I worked with so many amazing people along the way that I actually have as clients now that I do Instagram for, I do graphics for, I just do a lot, and I think that it was the biggest blessing ever to be able to know that, like, I'm not getting this job because there's something better ahead for me. And that was hard at the moment to realize that, but down the road, I feel like it's such a payoff, and I feel like it's such a payoff working for myself now. I'm so grateful that I can. A lot of people cannot do that full time, and I just feel like I'm at an amazing place. I am 23, so I feel like I'm just starting my career, and I really feel like I have just kind of taken it full force and been able to show my creativity, work with some amazing people, all of that. And I wanted to just make this video because I feel like a lot of people think that this is I wouldn't say easy job, but I feel like people don't understand everything that goes into it. And just some tips and tricks about things that helped me along the way is you have to know Instagram. And that's just so, like, maybe dumb to think that, like, okay, if you're running Instagram, like, you need to know Instagram, but you definitely do need to know, like, insights. You know how to grow an account, you know how to post things that people like. You have to learn aesthetic, you have to learn theme, you have to learn all these different things that are just vital to running an Instagram. And I feel like sometimes maybe people think that they tell people, oh, anyone can do this job, anyone can do this. And yes, it might maybe seem that way, but a lot of times, if you don't really have like a creative eye, or you're not super wired that way, I feel like it can be very hard for you to get a brand's vision or be able to kind of put an aesthetic on a piece of paper or on a grid. It can be very difficult. So I would say that if you're really wanting to get serious about social media, to make sure that you look at other people's pages, you look at other brands to kind of see how they do things, because it can be very difficult in the beginning to kind of start out and just be like, okay, let's plan a grid. Like, it took me a long time to actually learn how to grid plan in a way that it was aesthetic, that it was pleasing to the eye, that the colors matched everything. And everyone's going to be different. Every client is going to be different that you get. You're going to get people that want a different theme than this person, and you have to learn to adapt. You have to learn to adapt to every brand you work with, and you have to learn to follow what they want, because not everything that I do, the way I do things, is going to be what another brand wants. And that's kind of hard sometimes to, if you're not wired that way, to be able to be like, okay, I can separate my own aesthetic, my own style for somebody else's. I think that's super important to be able to do in this industry. And I think that's where people kind of get it confused with saying that, oh, anyone can do this. I feel like it's very hard if you're not super creative like that, and you're not be able to like separate you and your aesthetic from somebody else's. And I just think the biggest tip I could give anybody is honestly networking and making connections. A lot of the stuff that I got was client-wise has been through connections, and I think that's just so vital in this whole industry. Social media is connections, making connections with brands, making connections with people. I have made connections with brands personally that I've worked with on the influencing side that I now work for or work under for Instagram. So I think it's just so important as a person who wants to be professional in this industry to put yourself out there, but also know that, you know, you have to have definitely a portfolio. You have to learn how to show people your work. You need to be like, here, this is my success. This is how I built this brand. This is how I did this. So people know kind of that you're credible, that they can trust you, and that honestly you'll be able to push their brand in the right direction. And I just think that's so important. Networking is super key to all of that. And also I would have to say another tip would be learning how to turn off Instagram. I definitely don't have this down at all, and so I'm taking this tip for myself as well, is learning to turn off, learning to take a step back, turning off your phone, doing things for you, because when you're on Instagram as your full-time job, it can be very hard to find things for other people, find time for other people, doing things for yourself. And I think it's important to learn how to shut off, and I'm still working on that. I don't at any means have that down. Anyone you know, I work 24/7. I work literally, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I have an idea. And that's just how it is. But I think it's really important, and especially like over the few years that I've learned, it's just sometimes you're gonna have that mental break where you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I cannot physically push out any more content. I cannot look at anything else. And you definitely don't want to be able to get to that point where you are so burnt out. So I would definitely make sure that you're separating your job from your life, which crazy that I'm giving that advice because I don't do that myself, but I'm definitely working on it. So honestly, I just kind of wanted to sit down and make this video for you guys just to kind of explain my journey. And honestly, if you have any questions, I am so open in the comments. I am so open on my DMs. I've gotten a few questions about people wanting to get into the industry and doing all that. So honestly, I answer all the questions I personally can to the best that I can. And I am just super excited to grow this YouTube channel and grow as a person and push myself to kind of make different types of content. And let me know what you guys want to see from me. I was going to maybe do some hauls, maybe some like winter trends, stuff like that fashion wise, but I thought I would just sit down and talk to you guys about just me as a person, what I do, and kind of how I got there. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.